How going from pet to threat made me sick. This is for Black women in toxic jobs. I've talked about pet to threat before. You may have experienced this, but didn't have the words to say what you're going through. And I wanted to talk about this because I did a video recently about how I went from pet to threat. So I wanted to do a follow-up video about this because of the comments that I received to that video. And I want to talk to you about ways that this experience might make you sick, what this might look like for you. And that's why I wanted to share my experience to see if maybe you can relate to it, if there's any parallels. And I want to talk about how it might make you sick because a lot of people ask me, well, how would you define a toxic job? And I say, it's any situation that causes you physical and or psychological symptoms. So I want to share with you my experiences and ways that a toxic job made me sick from going from pet to threat. So, if you're not already familiar with Pet to Threat was created by three Black women researchers, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, Dr. Rosemary Phelps. Pet to Threat deals with when a Black woman comes into the workplace or she's sought out because of her outstanding abilities in the workplace, and she is treated as the pet. She's so smart. They need you to do this. You have turned things around. Oh, they can't live without you. You're just phenomenal. Okay. And then you may start outshining other people within the workplace. And then it shifts in terms of how you are seen and treated as a threat. Okay. So pet to threat. So again, you may not have the words for it, but you can relate to the experience. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, and more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. So going back into how the toxic job made me sick when I went from pet to threat. So I want you to watch the previous video if you have not seen it about how I went from pet to threat. I laid out very clearly about ways that I was sought out for certain things. And then if I dared to, or because I dared to speak up and set some boundaries about things, that it shifted into a threat. I was demoted. All these other very negative things happened that eventually there was so many demeaning, demoralizing things that happened, humiliating, that I ended up resigning from that job. So again, I want to share with you these experiences. You may relate to them or not, but my hope is that you're able to see the parallels in terms of what you've gone through. So one of the ways that the toxic job made me sick in terms of going from pet to threat was when I experienced this again, the threat and then being seen and treated in a very negative way. So previously, sought out for leadership positions, promoted, all those different things, just like you might be experiencing in your job. All these things happen, and then that switch happened. And when that switch happened, several things happened in terms of how I responded and how it made me sick. So one of the things was that I told myself that I was going to fight about what was happening to me. I was going to report people. I had documentation. I was going to do all these different things. But the more that I kept doing these things and fighting and documenting and all that kind of stuff, it took a toll on me. So high blood pressure going up, weight gaining a lot of weight, my hair falling out. I started getting these really bad nosebleeds. And then psychologically, my sleep was jacked up because I would think about all the disrespectful things they did to me and things that I wanted to say, but I swallowed it. I swallowed my pride. I swallowed what I wanted to say. And this may be happening to you because you're thinking, one, I want to keep this job. Two, I want to be professional in this situation. And three, I don't fulfill the stereotype of the angry Black woman. So let me share with you just maybe two situations. So there have been so many ridiculous situations that happened to me at that toxic job. And part of my healing, so again, I resigned about, 2 years ago. Part of my healing is to continue to talk about it because it gets that toxicity out of my system. And by me sharing my story, my hope is that I'm helping to heal other Black women. Because again, you might be watching this and saying, this happened to me too. I didn't know what it was called, but I relate to what you're saying. Okay. So I want to share with you just two situations, so many of them, but situations where you're in the workplace, you see things that are happening, and you are trying to do your job, number one, to the best of your abilities. And you may be seeing things or hearing about things going in the workplace that you know are not cool. But because you want to keep your job, you swallow so much of your pride, and you swallow so much of the outrageous things going on, or you swallow the outrage of seeing people who are supposed to be doing their jobs for the benefit of certain people, but you know there's a lot of ego involved, and or you might see that they're really incompetent in doing their job, but you still go along. You're respectful to everybody, you're professional, all those kind of things, but it's really hard to swallow that. And I think that comes at a cost. So when you continue to swallow your pride, you continue to bite your tongue. How many times have you bitten your tongue about some ridiculous something that happened, or some incompetent person who might be in a leadership position? How many times have you bitten your tongue? And think about the toll that had on you. Okay, so that was a lot of information before I go into these examples. So the one example was during what happened during 2020. And, I was working for a school district. So I was working for the second largest school district in the nation. And, during that time, it was homeschooling for kids. It was not only what was going on in the world about, the virus and all the other kind of stuff, right? But there were a lot of racial traumas going on that we were seeing in real time. So I was in the mental health unit. I was asked to come together and find ways that we could support kids who were learning remotely. But how do we support their mental health needs? So was part of a team, and one day, and I'm trying to contain myself to show you just how ridiculous this was. So one day we have a meeting, and so during the meeting they said, oh, so it was two men who said, oh, we're so excited to share with you about something that we have in the works to help support students who are learning remotely. We can't wait to share it with you, right? So this is at the beginning of the meeting. They're like, oh, we can't wait to tell you, right? So it was two men who said this, right? So they had been talking and planning, and they can't wait to share with our group about what they've come up with to help Black students. I'm not Black students, all students in the school district during the lockdown, and kids learning remotely, again trying to address the mental health needs of kids in the district. So they're talking back and forth, and then they say, okay, well, let's share with the group what we came up with. So the one man defers to the other man, who's a Black man, actually. And he says, yeah, we just got the rights to the new Kunta Kinte. And we, think it's a good idea to show the new Kunta Kinte to the kids so they have an accurate understanding of history. And I'm sitting there. You see the look on my face? That's how I felt. Like, what are you talking about? In what ways do you think that showing the new Kunta Kinte, that's just it, the new Kunta Kinte, in what ways do you think that that is helpful for kids learning remotely, racial traumas going on? And what ways do you think that's helpful? Many times the kids are without supervision. How do you think that's helpful? So I'm sitting there in the moment, disgusted, and I have to swallow. So again, think about what you're swallowing in your workplace. Just the ridiculousness, just outrageous stuff. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking at them like, you all thought this is a good idea and you're excited about sharing this, okay? Now, I'm listening to this, but I'm also very aware that I need to express myself in a certain way, right? So I'm taking this in, and I'm just like, okay, how am I going to say this? But so I'm like trying to contain myself because I'm outraged that they would say this. So I said, I really don't think that's a good idea. I explained the reasons why this is probably not a good idea, but just the level of just incompetence. And these are people in leadership positions. Okay. So think about in your situation, I was a pet to threat. So in this situation, I was borderline, pet, right? But I knew that things were becoming more apparent that I was becoming more of the threat. And so I knew that I needed to be mindful, very, very mindful of how I presented myself. And just like you, again, you might be aware of how people are perceiving you, and you are like just taking it in, right? And just taking it in, but it takes a toll on you. So I want to share another example with you. So in this situation, this was the so-called racial reckoning of 2020. Okay. And we all know about what happened with that. So when this happened, when all this, oh, we are committed to Black students and we're going to do all these things. So I think by this point I had already been demoted, but the carrot was, oh, let's get Kamani to help out with this initiative, and let's right. So again, at this point, I'm lying to myself, saying, okay, well, even though they've treated me this way, I've been demoted, all these other things, I can still give back in this way and I can help out in this capacity. Lying to myself, lying to myself. So I'm trying to make this work for me by thinking that I can help out in a certain capacity. Joke's on me again, because they really did not do anything significant, right? So it's very much performative. But again, sometimes people will say these things to you and they'll gas you up and they'll try to hype you up. And, so I was kind of going back into this pet phase of like, oh, Kamani's going to help us out. So anyway, there was this summit coming up and we needed to form a team. Okay. So teams from around the country were formed for this national organization to participate in this anti-racist summit. So they said, oh, well, let's do this team and whatever. And then they suggested I'll be the team lead. Okay. So when I was on the team, my colleague and I, who is actually my friend too, my colleague and I, my friend, we spent all weekend working on this application for this anti-racist summit, all weekend. Okay. No extra pay, nothing. We just worked on this anti-racist summit because we're committed to the work. Okay. So that Sunday, so I think it was due on Monday. So that Sunday, a woman who was an administrator who doesn't look like us comes in and she's like, oh, let me see what you guys have been working on, right? So she does like maybe just a little like minor tweaks to what we did. Oh, let me tell you something else she did too. But anyway, some minor tweaks to what we did. And guess what she did? She appointed herself the lead, okay? On her own, she appointed herself the lead to the anti-racist summit, even though two Black women, me and my friend, had worked on this all weekend, okay? So again, exploitation of labor, she just appoints herself as a team lead. Now, something else that she did, what was interesting was there was another Black woman and there was me, and we both had doctorates, right? And she was trying to convince me that we should not use our titles of doctor on the application because that might make people uncomfortable. Okay. Okay. Well, so I'm focused on that. So it gets worse because we submit the application's accepted, and guess what they did? So again, my friend and I worked on this application all weekend, no extra pay. So when our application gets accepted, guess what they do? They boot my friend off the team, right? So you have the person who has been the self-appointed now leader, and that now they've also kicked my friend off the team. So when all these things happen, you are watching this happen, you're disgusted about it, and you're just taking all this in, but you're just taking it like, okay, I got this. Okay. So I invite you to think about, in what ways may you be experiencing pet to threat? You can write in the comments about ways you've experienced it. I've had other Black women comment on that as well. What are the ways that you've experienced pet to threat? And at what cost? How is it impacting you? If you are in a situation of experiencing pet to threat, I hope that you are aware of what has happened to you and that you're open to saying, you know what? I don't know if this is the work environment for me, because it is an uphill battle and it does take a toll on you. So if you're in a situation, this is happening to you, and you're like, this is not the environment for me, I want you to really consider about. Now, I'm going to say something that you might find hard to believe. You might find it hard to believe that you are able to leave that job and start looking for something else. Okay. So it might be another job, it might be creating your own business, a combination of both. You may not really believe that. And so that is why Marissa Price and I are launching the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women, because we want Black women, we want you to know that you are able to leave a toxic job and find something else. Okay. So you might be thinking, I can't leave this job. I got bills to pay. I got all these things to do, right? That is why we have the summit, is to give you information, give you resources about how to replace your income, how to deal with the mindset, the fears that you have about leaving a toxic job, because the fears are real. Okay. I'm not going to lie to you and say you're not going to have the fear, but what do you do about the fear? How do you get ahead of it? How do you address it? How do you move through it so it doesn't keep you stuck in a situation that is harming you? So again, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. If you're in a situation where you're experiencing pet to threat, and you might be watching me right now and saying, well, that's good that you were able to leave, but I'm not able to leave. I invite you to challenge that. And I invite you to get prepared, get information, get ready, because we know as Black women, we are organized, we get prepared, all those different things. I'm not saying to you to just up and leave and never think about a job. And I'm not saying that to you, because we all need money to survive. What I'm saying is that find different ways for you to get money and replace your income so you don't have to continue to be at that toxic job. You have options. The fact that you have that job right now, that shows you can get another job if that's what you want to do. But the Job Liberation Virtual Summit is here to help you, okay? Here to help you. Black women who've gone through a toxic job, Black women who've not only gone through a toxic job, they've left a toxic job and they're doing well financially. So come to the summit so you will learn this information. It is May 18th and 19th. Early registration is going on now until April 20th. And wanted to let you know that Marissa and I value your privacy. We know we don't want people in our business. So when you come to the summit, your face is not going to be seen anywhere. Okay. None of the participants will be seen, only the speakers, and your name will not be listed anywhere. Okay. If you want to ask a question or make a comment, you can change your name in the platform. So don't keep that. Don't keep the fears. Don't keep the doubts. Don't keep anything from you accessing a way out, okay? Showing you the way out. So you've been watching my videos, you maybe can relate to things I've been saying, but now I'm showing you the how to get out and how to do well once you leave a toxic job, okay? So I'm signing off. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And also give this video a thumbs up. And I'm also asking you, in addition to registering for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women, in addition to that, I'm asking you to share this video with at least 2 other Black women, because there's so many of us out here who are in a toxic job. And I'm trying to liberate as many Black women as I can from toxic jobs. And once you leave the toxic job, that's when the healing really starts. It's hard to heal when you're continuing to deal with and swallow and all that stuff in the toxic job. It's very hard to heal in that environment. So I want to support you. I want to walk with you in this journey of getting yourself ready to leave a toxic job, no matter when you want to go. It's up to you about when you want to go. So somebody asked me, is a toxic job for people who are a certain age? It's for anybody, any Black woman in the workplace, no matter where you're on the continuum, from I'm starting not to like this job, I'm starting to see some red flags, to I'm really not liking this job to I dread waking up. Please tell me what to do to get out. So even after you've already left your job. So you will have information that will help support you. So again, register for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, May 18th and 19th. Early registration is going on now to April 20th, and you want to save some coins. So get your early registration. So we have Stephanie Perry kicking it off, talking about job detox. Her book is coming out soon. We also have Alicia Renice about connecting to our joy and our dreams, which many times a job can be a joy dream robber. Okay, how to reconnect to that, how to get our sleep back, ways that jobs may impact our mental health, how to reclaim that as well, how to replace our income, which is so important, how to come up with a financial plan, and what to do about your health insurance, your life insurance, your retirement. Those are often the biggest things that keep us in a toxic job. I know that was the case for me. I was so fearful about finances that it kept me there way too long. So we want to give you the resources. We want to give you the information so you will have a plan once you leave the summit. So you might be coming in one way, you will be leaving with a plan. Okay. So again, give this video a thumbs up, share this video with at least 2 other Black women, and subscribe to my channel and go to the summit. See you later. Bye.